are several weeks into the school year, and for those who have kids learning virtually at home, we thought it would be a good time for a check-in.
So joining us now, teacher and education expert Kate Wynn, who spoke to some of her colleagues who are teaching virtually to compile a list of do's and don'ts for parents moving forward. Kate, good morning.
Morning.
All right. Okay, Carolyn's got the don'ts. I've got the do's. Let's start with the first do, which is do remember that organization has to be taught, Kate?
Yes, so help your child come up with a schedule for their day, for their week, so they know what's going on. With little ones, we like to use visual schedules, so it can be photos or images, and you can even use a clothespin or a magnet to move along so they know where they're at in the day, what comes next. Good idea to share the schedule among family members, so that you can avoid conflicts and that sort of thing. Also, if you live in the country like me, you want to make sure too many people aren't on the internet at the same time. Timers are helpful for kids too. You also need to talk to your kids about chunking longer assignments. If they have a big project, they're studying for a big test, actually scheduling out what parts they're going to work on each day, and have all school materials ready. So if your child has to move from room to room during the day, have some sort of portable basket or caddy for each child so they have everything they need right there.
All right, as Jeff mentioned, I have the don'ts, Kate, and our first don't is don't baby your child.
Parents are always shocked by how independent their kids can be at school when they're not around. But when they're learning at home, it can be really easy to fall into the pattern of the child saying, oh, I don't know what to do, and you need to help me, and the parent isn't sure. So one thing we talk about in education is the gradual release of responsibility. So let's say, for example, you have a little one that always has to put in a password. You can't save the password. They have to enter it every time. They don't know how to do it. So the first time you do it for them, but then they watch you do it. Maybe you write it out, and at another time of day, they practice finding it and putting it in on their own. Then they do it with you watching. Then finally, they can do it by themselves. So you kind of release that to them. Even kindergarten kids can mute and unmute their microphones on their own, turn the camera on and off, that sort of thing. Teachers also remind parents not to write anything out for their kids. They can do that on their own, especially for assessments and tests and things. Not to verbally answer for them, even if they're reluctant. You want to make sure they're answering on their own. It's good for kids to make mistakes, for teachers to see where they're at and what they need to work on. And also, don't assume that your kids are doing too much. It's too much work, because they actually accomplish a whole lot in a day at school, and you're just not there to see it.
All right, the next on the list of do's is do communicate effectively.
Yes, so keep checking those emails, checking the newsletters, all of that. Talk to the teacher first with any concerns. I see the odd tweet or Facebook post, I can't believe what my child's teacher just said. Please start with the teacher. If it doesn't get resolved, you can certainly work your way up to the principal and so on. Be positive with the teacher when you can. If you have any opportunity to give a compliment or a thank you, I like to think of the whole bank account theory of relationships. Get some deposits in there so that you've got a balance. And then if you ever need to make a withdrawal, you're in good shape. Remember, the teacher will probably phone you from a blocked or private number, so you'll want to try to schedule those or to know when it's safe to pick that up. And just a little bit of perspective, one virtual teacher told me that she receives about 100 class-related emails a day, and a virtual secretary said she starts the day usually with about 80 voicemails to listen to and respond to. So just an idea of the massive amount of communication that's out there. We might need a bit of patience.
So very important to keep that in mind when you're a parent looking for an answer. All right, our next don't is don't be a screen star, parents.
Yes, try to stay off camera. Number one, you don't want to embarrass your child, but it's also so important for that independence. Pretend they're sitting in their classroom again and you can't be right there beside them. If you do need to tell them something, pop in. You can always have them turn off the camera for a moment, or, if you have to be in the background for a longer time, change the angle, that sort of thing. You want to make sure there's not something really distracting like the baby in their playpen behind your child for the whole lesson that might distract the other kids. But all of that said, teachers totally understand there are going to be occasional things, just like there will be on their cameras too. So that's all right. If you need to hear the lesson, maybe you have a little one and you want to sit off camera a bit, that's okay. Or maybe you have an older child and they struggle with math, for example, and you know that you're going to need to help them later. Try to eavesdrop from a distance. Again, just so to your child, it doesn't feel like you're taking an active role in their lesson. They need that privacy to develop relationships, and kids are always so different when their parents are around. And, I can understand. I know doing these segments, we've got a beautiful audience out there, but I can't stand to have family members in the room while I'm doing it. So I can relate to the kids.
Yeah, I'm wondering, how's that going at the CMAC household, by the way?
Oh.
Being a screen star. I can see it now.
Jeffrey.
Your ring light is off just a bit, Matt. I think we need a different.
But it's so true what Kate is saying. Matt does not want me anywhere near his camera. He's like, Mom, go to the basement.
Yeah. What has Room Rater got our learning set up at? 8? We're only getting 8 out of 10. Okay, let's move to the next do, which is show you that you actually value virtual school, Kate.
Yes, your attitude is so important to your kids. And even though school is happening at home, they still need to know that you think it's important. So ask about what they're working on, encourage regular attendance like you would with physical school, keep concerns kind of private amongst the adults. And, one teacher gave me a perfect quote. She said, "Don't place unreasonable expectations on your child or their teacher. Everyone needs a little grace these days." And you know what? It applies to parents too. We all need some grace right now.
And finally, Kate, you say, don't forget the non-academic things.
Teachers really stress the importance of things like sleep, physical activity, getting outside for breaks, just like they would if they had recesses. Those morning routines, like making sure you have breakfast, get dressed, all those things that put you in the mindset for learning. And then also socialization. If you have any chance to do an outdoor physically distanced play date for your child, or even just FaceTime, virtual sorts of things, they are noticing kids really missing that socialization aspect.
All right, the do's and don'ts of virtual learning, courtesy of Kate Wynn. Kate, great to see you as always. Thanks so much.
Thank you.